Hi all traders and investors, welcome back to Strike. In today's video, we'll be covering Average Directional Index, commonly known as ADX. We'll cover what is ADX, how to use it along with its components, that is Positive Directional Index and Negative Directional Index. So let's jump right in. The ADX indicator is used to quantify the strength of the trend in the market. On its own, it doesn't tell you about the direction of the trend. It consists of three components, that is the ADX line itself and positive directional index and negative directional index. So there are three lines in total that form up the ADX indicator. So here's a chart where you can see all these three lines plotted on the chart of Nifty. We'll jump right in into the meaning of each one. So the first is the blue line, that is the positive directional index. This measures the strength of a bullish trend, that is by calculating differences between consecutive highs and then smoothing it over a certain period. Most commonly used period is 14. Similarly, negative directional index is calculated by calculating the distance between consecutive lows, thereby determining the strength of the downtrend. So it is known as negative directional index. And the main part, that is average directional index, which is the pink line on my chart, is the moving average of difference between these two lines. So basically, it is a difference between positive and negative directional index, and further it is smoothened to have a non-jerkier data point. Now let's try to interpret ADX along with the few trading strategies that are very common. So the very first one is looking at just the ADX number to identify the strength of a trend. So ADX above 25 is known as a strong trend in the market. So if I draw a horizontal line at 25, so this visually it would just tell us the whenever the ADX line is above the level 25, the trend in the market is strong, and whenever it's below the level 25, the trend is weak. It doesn't tell you on its own about the direction of the trend. Now this is where positive and negative directional index comes in. So let me enable those. So I know there's a too many lines on the chart, so let us disable the ADX and I'll also remove the 25 line for now. So as you can see, there are points when the positive directional index crosses above the negative one, and there are points when the opposite happens. So let's try to mark few points. So I've drawn few points where each of the one is crossing above. So the very first one here, the positive directional index is crossing above the negative one, and you can see the market is trending in nature to the upside. Now again, at this point in December of 2022, negative directional index is crossing above the positive one and the market is exhibiting a downtrend. Now similarly, in April of this year, positive directional index has crossed above the negative directional index and it has stayed above until August. So all this while the trend has been strong. Similarly, you can interpret through crossovers of both the directional indices. Now, if you add in the ADX itself and then try to observe the crossovers with respect to ADX level, that will help you judge whether the trend is strong or not. So if a crossover is happening with the ADX above 25, that tells you that the trend is going to be strong on the upside or downside. So if we just talk about this year's example, the crossover happened in April, but the value of ADX at that point was exactly 25, and then it went lower for a while and again came back above 25. So it then continued to stay above 25 until about I think late August, meant that the positive trend is extremely strong over the negative trend, and ADX also exhibited that the trend is strong. With the help of strike scanners, you can have different scans on the ADX indicators. So first make sure you've enabled all these scanners from here. For the purpose of this video, I have only enabled ADX scanner under the head technical scanners so that there is no confusion. Now we have various filters across time frames that we can run. So the first ones are ADX crossing above or below any certain level. So I've given few benchmarks according to certain charts. Some stocks may be very strong and giving a ADX level higher than 25 or even 50. So a very basic filter can be the ADX crossing above the level 25, which means the stock is going into a trending nature. And the opposite of that is when the ADX is crossing below 25, that is the trend is getting weaker with respect to ADX. The second thing that comes into picture here is the crossovers, which we just discussed. So if I just want to see positive directional index crossing above the negative directional index, I can visualize that by selecting this filter over here. Now what the strike will throw up is the crossovers of the same. So as you can see on this chart, the blue line is crossing above the orange line, thereby meaning that positive trend is getting stronger than the negative trend. But at the same time, if I look at the raw ADX value, then it is at 14 and it has been consistently below 25. So we'll draw a 25 line here. So all this while ADX has been consistently below 25, and you can see the trend has been very zigzag in nature, very lethargic kind of trend, which is harder to trade. So this is how you can find good stocks based on crossovers and also based on ADX value. So let's see other examples. So this is a chart of AU Bank. Here you can see that positive directional index has crossed above the negative one after a span of almost more than 1 month, and ADX value is at 38, which is considerably above 25. So let me draw the 25 line. Yeah. So this is what this means is that the trend is breaking towards upside and the strength is also strong. So you can obviously have various other filters like trend lines, support resistance levels, and moving averages. This is just an example. So let's try to see more charts here if there is anything interesting. So let me try and view it on weekly time frame. Not much results on the weekly. Let's see monthly as well. So I've selected negative crossovers now. Let's try to see if there are any interesting examples. Most of the examples as of now are coming with the ADX value considerably lower than 25, which means the signals may not be reliable. So what you're looking for here is a crossover accompanied with a breakout in the ADX value as well. So that's pretty much about it to how to scan certain setups. The Strike platform will throw you a lot of outputs, but you have to go through different charts based on your liking, based on which spectrum of stocks you are looking at, be it FNO stocks or cash market stocks. So here is one I found out. This is what Page Industries. So here the negative directional index has crossed above the positive one considerably in one session, which may look like a breakdown, but ADX value is not above 25 as of now, but it's close to that. So this is how you can look for certain filters and find stocks based on ADX. Here I'm showing a small combination of DI plus and DI minus crossovers along with a moving average cross. This is just an example to be combining different strategies and coming up with your own tools. So as you can see here, we noticed that the positive directional index crossed above the negative directional index, and the 9-day moving average also crossed above the 26-day moving average, which is a positive crossover. So we have now confluence of both signals, which is a great sign, and we have seen the market to continue its trend up. Now again, similar signals have occurred here and here as well, but with the difference is that the ADX value is not strong, that is, it is not above 25. So this is how one filter can help you eliminate the other one and ignore the bad signals and stick to only the good ones. That is pretty much it about ADX. So if you liked the video, do give us a thumbs up and post your questions in the comment section. Do let us know if you would like to see any particular tools or indicators in future videos. So I look forward to see you using Strike tool. and do let us know your thoughts on these scanners and different tools in Strike. Thank you.